Hello, good morning. I hope that everybody is well. It's been a busy week, lots of things have been happening on a personal level and for Hands Across the Sea samplers as well. I expect that many of you were going to watch this video expecting me to have a different sampler on the easel, but I have Clara and Maud Pickenell's sampler, Hope and Love, on the easel because this week we had some very sad news about Clara Pickenell, and it really has been upsetting and it's affected me in a very strange way. It's come to light that we now know why Clara died so young, and this is taken from the British newspaper's archive, and it says, Dr. G. Danford Thomas last evening held an inquest at Paddington Coroner's Court on the body of Clara Ann Rosina Pickenell, 29, a spinster, a housemaid who committed suicide. Really upset me this week. At Bishop's Road railway station on the preceding Tuesday. She had been out of a situation since March and had been staying with her stepbrother, a carman at Lewisham. She was engaged to be married to a sailor at Portsmouth, a seaman in Her Majesty's Navy. For some reason unexplained, the engagement was broken off, and this had evidently preyed upon her mind. On Tuesday, shortly before 1 p.m, the young woman who had left her stepbrother's Cladsteinley 6 hours before was observed as a Hammersmith train was entering Bishop's Road station from Edgware Road to throw herself deliberately on the metals. They mean the tracks in front of the engine. The locomotive and the first adjacent carriage passed over the woman, who was at once removed to St Mary's Hospital. There she said to Dr. Smallwood, the house surgeon, "It's a pity I was not killed outright." She has sustained extensive injuries to the head and body, which speedily proved fatal. In her clothing, the hospital nurse found a note, identified as in her handwriting, which the coroner read privately. He then said the note referred to the young man not present at the inquest, to whom the deceased had been engaged, and in it occurred these expressions: "He is at the bottom of all my trouble. My life is a burden to me, and I am such a trouble to all." The jury returned a verdict of suicide while of unsound mind. I just find that so terribly sad that the little girl who was orphaned, who went into a workhouse, was rescued by George Mueller, ended up committing suicide. Where was the hope and the love that was stitched into this sampler? Really upsetting. I wonder if she was pregnant and that was why she was out of her situation. We won't know that. The note that she left was read privately by the coroner, but it's just so sad, and it just makes me love this sampler all the more. At least Maud, her sister, lived a long life, which is something. But poor Clara, women really had hard lives and were so dependent on men. Very sad. Anyway, let's put that to one side and let's look at some happier samplers. This week we released this girl, Amelia Jane Chandler. Now, I stitched Amelia and I couldn't put my needle down. She is a very happy, cheery sampler, and she's stitched in two colours, this beautiful Christmas red and a pine green. Very, very enjoyable stitch. I found this very, very therapeutic working on it. It's stitched up very quickly, and I really, really enjoyed working on her. The reason that I bought this sampler, well, one of the reasons was because it has February the 20th on it, which is my birthday, and my original plans was to release this sampler on my birthday, but the response to the sneak peeks that I was showing as I was stitching her, I realised that there was many people that looked upon her as a Christmas sampler and wanted to stitch her in the month of December for Christmas, and I totally understand that. It is a very Christmassy sampler. So she is available as a little gem on the Hands Across the Sea Samplers website for instant download. With the instant download, you get 4 graphs. Let me put my glasses back on. And the graphs are a 9-page colour chart and a 9-page black and white one, and then you have a 1-page colour and a 1-page black and white so that you can stitch it off your electronic device. We know a little bit about Amelia. She was born, or she was baptised I should say, on May the 22nd, 1842. So she was 9 when she finished her sampler. She was about, yes, she would have been 10 in the May of 1852, and she was christened at St Nicholas's Church in Compton in Surrey, and she was born in the hamlet of Binscombe to Henry and Jane Chandler, and the family lived in Hockley Lane, and Henry was a gamekeeper. We find Amelia in the 1861 census working as a nursemaid at the Sun Inn and Brewery at Bridge Street in Godalming in Surrey. The inn and brewery were owned by a widow, and we believe that Amelia Jane was the nursemaid to her 4-year-old daughter. We find a mention of Amelia Jane marrying George Bedford on July the 7th, 1866, and the curious thing about her wedding was that it took place in Donnybrook in Dublin. And we do not know why she married in Ireland, but Amelia Jane and George can be found back in England in the 1871 census with their 3-year-old daughter. And George was a licensed victualler. He was a publican. He ran the White Lion on the High Street in Aston, Birmingham. And that's the last mention that we found of Amelia Jane in the family history records. Her sampler is stitched with cross stitch over 2 threads, so she's suitable for all levels of ability and can be stitched on Aida, Linada and linen. Now, the original sampler is here, and the original sampler was stitched on 28 count linen with wool. There has been quite a bit of staining on this sampler, and there's been some colour run as well from the threads, but she is a beautiful sampler. She's very nicely framed, and I'm very, very thrilled with the reproduction. Now, I did mention this in the graph, and I kicked myself this morning when I realised that I hadn't, but I should have put the the wool colours, and I intend to go back onto our website and add that, and I also intend to go back and amend the PDF to include the wool colours as well. Here they are. So if you're interested in stitching Amelia Jane in wool, the red is 3015 and the green is 3724, and this wool is fine wool, Abuson wool from Overa Soie. It's gorgeous, really, really good colour matches, and very, very good colour matches to the original. There's the red, and the green is just there. The green's faded out in a lot of places, but this is a very, very good match to it when you find a section of green that hasn't been so badly affected by the sun. What else can I tell you about Amelia Jane? Well, on 28 count linen, which is 14 count Ada, she will measure 11.71 by 18.71 inches, and that's what the original was stitched on. I stitched the model on 56 count, and that comes out at 5.86 by 9.36, and I used rustic driftwood, which is a Zweigart based linen that was overdyed by Ducas from X-Dew Designs, and X-Dew Design can be found on Etsy. She's based in Hungary, but she ships very quickly, and she's very, very good on communication, and I know that a lot of people have been discovering her linens, and she has some really, really beautiful colours. If your chosen colour is not available in your chosen count, all you have to do is email her, and she gets it done so quickly and shipped out. I think that rustic driftwood is a really beautiful colour. Very pleased with that. If you stitched her on 18 count Ada, which is 36 count linen, she'd be 9.11 by 14.56. She's not a huge sampler, and very, very enjoyable. Her stitch count is 164 stitches by 262. So what else has been happening this week? Well, so I've got so much down here, I'm having to sort of move things around. My threads came for Morrison, and here they all are. And a few days ago I posted a very short Flosstube video explaining what I did to prepare my linen for Anne. I'm all ready to start now on December the 5th, and I can't wait. My fingers are itching to stitch this sampler. Those colours are delicious, really, really delicious. I did mention in the video in the week that Access Commodities have worked really, really hard, and they have managed to put together some additional kits for Anne Morrison, which Janice has. So if there's anybody else who would like to join in the stitch along, you are so welcome to participate. There is nearly 1,200 people stitching this sampler now, and it's more the merrier. We're going to have a really, really nice time. The sampler has been divided up into very doable bite-sized pieces to be done every month for 12 months. So by the end of November 2021, we should all be able to have Anne Morrison ready to be framed and hung on our sampler wall. I really want my own version of Anne on my sampler wall. This sampler was stitched by Angela Bulbeck, and it will be going back to Angela to hang on her sampler wall. What else? Well, I've been busy stitching on Amy Fisher, and this is my progress. I'm pleased with my progress because a lot of my time has been taken up with little Hugo, but you know, I have managed to get some stitching in, and these motifs on Amy, they are delightful. They're different, and it's nice to stitch things that are different. Keeps our interest going, it keeps us fresh. The colours are really beautiful. Now, there are more colours than this in the sampler, but I'm only going to show you the colours that I have stitched in the sampler so far. They are beautiful, and this colour, this is mouth-watering. I love it so much. When I love a colour, I really enjoy stitching with the colour so much more. I'm anxious to get to that colour. Very pretty. Let's just have one more look at this. Lovely. Really like this sampler. And I like the verse on there as well. Father, forgive them because they know not what they have done, something like that. What else? Well, a lot of time this week has been spent with little Hugo and Bertie Boo. For those of you who follow me on Facebook, you would have seen the video and photographs that I have been posting. Hugo had a fabulous time meeting up with some other boxers at the beach in Falmouth, and he met lots of other dogs too. He's a very friendly little boy, and he's very excited to meet other dogs and wanting to play with them, and he's been so good walking on his lead. And besides our little boxer get together on Wednesday, we took him out on Thursday and Friday to areas where we know that he will meet lots of other dogs, and he loved his trip to the boating lake. The boating lake in the nearest town to where we live, it's a very popular place for people to go and walk, and young mothers walk with their pushchairs and prams, and elderly people walk, and a lot of motorised wheelchairs, and people walk with dogs. So he's seen everything going around the boating lake this week. When I finished this video, we're going to go back out with him. Thank you so much for all the emails and messages asking about Hugo and saying how much that you are enjoying seeing him in these videos. If you get bored of him, you must let me know. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Next weekend, my video might appear at an odd time. Towards the end of next week, I'm going to be making a trip that requires an overnight stay, and that's going to impact on next Saturday. It's a very exciting trip. It was something that I should have done earlier, but couldn't do so because we were in lockdown. Our lockdown lifts on December the 2nd, and we're so fortunate in Cornwall. Cornwall is the only county in mainland England that is not that is in tier 1 lockdown. So we are able to do things that the rest of the country can't do. And one of those things is I can go to the hairdressers and I just can't wait to get my hair cut again. If my hair isn't trimmed, I never feel clean. So anyway, this trip I'm making, it's needlework related. It's very, very exciting, and if everything comes together, it's going to be something that everybody will be able to enjoy the results of the trip. So anyway, I'm rambling. Until my next video, whether it's early or late next weekend, please have a good week and stay safe and stay well. Bye-bye.